Hi, thanks so much for joining me for class today. The class that I'm going to teach today was a request online for people who sit at a desk or work in an office and have kind of the office slouch or the tight neck and shoulders and hips from sitting in a chair. So we're going to do a lot of postures to kind of loosen up the neck, the shoulders, and the hips as well. Most of it is going to be seated. However, we'll do a couple of standing postures, some lunges to really loosen up the hip flexors. So if you have props, then grab a strap and a block, but they're not necessary at all. Oftentimes, if we are sitting in a desk a lot of the day, we can get really, really tight in the hips and the hip flexors, and our posture can start to kind of look like this, leaning over a desk, hunching up in the shoulders, and a block can be a great way to ease the hips open. So if you have a block and want to, go ahead and take it underneath your seat. If you don't, just find a nice tall spine. And we're just going to kind of set our posture. So this is the posture that we always want to have, regardless of what we're doing, especially if we're sitting at a desk, but obviously it can't always happen. So if you can start to practice this alignment in your body, and then just remind yourself throughout the day, all right, get those hips over the shoulders, roll the shoulders away from the ears, and reach up through the back of the neck, reaching up through the crown of the head. It's just a very, very slight tuck of the chin. So coming from this position, rounded down at the desk, just reminding yourself every once in a while, okay, sit up tall, get those shoulders over the hips, roll the shoulders away from the ears. And for now, for the sake of the class, we're actually just gonna close our eyes and take a couple of breaths, just ground into our space. So go ahead and place the hands in a comfortable position, either resting on your feet or your knees, and close the eyes. Take another reach through the crown of the head, a rest of the shoulders away from the ears, and 3 breaths here. Try to close the lips and breathe in and out through the nose. This is a great pranayama for stress relief also. So if you're having a tense day, a tense moment, and have the opportunity to either close the eyes or not, and just close the lips, breathe nice and slow and steady through the nose. Inhale. Exhale. Try to relax the jaw. Oftentimes where we hold a lot of our tension is the jaw. Release the forehead. And open the eyes. Okay, so you can stay on your block if you want, or you can release the block out from underneath your seat. We're just gonna loosen up the neck here. So again, keep this alignment in the spine with the hips over the shoulders over the hips and reaching tall through the crown of the head. And then we're just gonna take our right hand to the top of the head, and we're gonna release that right ear toward the shoulder. So you don't wanna crank it down, but you can use the hand on the head to just kind of lengthen the stretch a little bit. And then I think it feels really good, but it's optional, to take that left hand and then reach it away from you and down towards your mat. It, again, increases the stretch. And come back to center and switch it out. So left ear toward the left shoulder, take the hand to the top of the head, and then just assist the ear toward the shoulder. Again, you're not cranking, but this increases the stretch a little bit. And then take that right hand, reach it away from you and down towards your mat. That just really opens up the right side of the neck. I love that stretch. Again, you can do this at your desk, from your chair. Come back to center. And then we're gonna take the chin and just slightly jut it forward a little bit and try and reach it down toward the sternum. But again, avoid slouching here and hunching. Instead, stay nice and lifted, and maybe the chin doesn't touch the chest, depending on how tight you are. Option, you can take your hands to the back of your head and gently guide the chin toward the chest. I'm very tight in all of these areas, and so it really helps me to have the assistance, the gentle assistance of my own hands in increasing the stretch. I always have to correct my own slouch, so I really feel for you if the shoulders are tight and rounded. Come back to center. Now, if you do still have the block, go ahead and remove the block out from underneath, and we're just gonna take a side stretch here. Again, you could do this at your desk, but preferably on the floor. We're just gonna take that right hand off to the right and then set it on the floor, and then take that left arm up and over. If you wanna increase the stretch a little bit, you can take the elbow toward the floor. So maybe if you're at your desk and you just want this nice long side stretch, you can reach your hand down toward the floor, just up and over. Now the key to this stretch, however, is to keep that shoulder right in line with the hip. So again, try to avoid kind of rounding forward and reaching forward, and instead just reach to the side, and then we'll do it on the other side. Left hand to the mat, or reaching down toward the floor, right arm up and over. So keep the right shoulder in line with the right hip. Then you're just gonna wanna take a nice big breath into your right side. Expand the lungs, expand the ribs. Come back to center. And this is a stretch that I often do sitting in my own chair when I'm at my computer. Take the hands behind the back. You can just wrap them around the back of your chair, depending on what style of chair you have, and just interlace the fingers. Open through the chest. Lift the chin away from the chest. It's a chest expansion, so this opens up the whole front side of the shoulders and the chest and the throat and the neck. If you are seated on the floor, you can hinge forward and reach the hands up and over the back of the head. And release. All right, so we're just gonna continue to warm up the spine a little bit, release through the neck and the shoulders. So come into a tabletop position, and we'll just rock our way back and forth through cat and cow. Work with the breaths here, so releasing belly, lifting crown of head and tailbone, and then exhaling, rounding. Again. Inhale to cow pose, exhale to cat pose. And again, last time. And come back to tabletop position. And then we're gonna start to walk the hands off to the right, and we're just gonna bump the hips to the left, and then get a nice stretch here through your left side, all the way down to the left hip. Look out toward your right toes. And then do the same on the other side. Walk the hands to the left, bump the hips to the right, look back toward your left toes, and then come back towards center. And we're gonna take swan pose, which is a great opener for the shoulder, the chest, and the hips. So bonus here, coming into spinal balance first, you're gonna extend that right arm forward and the left leg back. And then you can bend that left leg, reach that right hand around for the left foot, and then just start to press the foot into the hand and lift through the crown of the head. So notice the opening in the chest, opening in the throat, nice stretch in your shoulder, and then you're stretching this left hip flexor and quadricep as well. Little back bend, a lot going on in this awesome pose. Okay, and then release to tabletop, and we'll do it on the other side. So spinal balance first, extending that left arm forward, right leg back, and then bend that right leg, take the foot from the inside with the left hand, and start to press that hand into the foot, reach through the crown of the head. And release. All right, so let's make our way to downward facing dog. We're not gonna spend a lot of time in down dog today, but this will just be kind of a starting position. And this is a great release again for the neck and the upper back. So tuck the toes under, release the heels toward the floor, and then look back toward the feet and let that head dangle. So go ahead and take a little wobble of the head. You can shake it out, do little circles, but your head should just kind of feel like a big bowling ball hanging toward the mat. I often take a down dog if I feel a lot of tension in my shoulders and neck, because the weight of the head really helps lengthen the spine. And you're upside down. Another breath here. All right, so we're going to take some stretches for the hips. So lift that right leg high, and then take the right foot right between the hands and release that back knee to the floor. Go ahead and take the top of the foot flat to the floor and stack the right knee right over the right ankle to begin with, and then lift the arms up overhead. Okay, so take arrow mudra with the hands, interlace the fingers, release the index fingers, and squeeze the biceps towards the ears. As much as possible, start to sink into the hips, okay? So the tailbone is drawing down toward the floor. You're gonna feel a nice stretch in the left hip flexor. If it does feel like too much, just kind of back out of it a little bit and then slowly make your way into it. So your hip flexor could be really, really tight. That's totally fine. Just start from here and maybe start to sink. Okay, since your back knee is on the floor, it's okay if your right knee comes a little bit past the right ankle. And then we're going to take it into a side bend. So take that right hand to the floor, reach that left arm up and over. That one feels really good. And then switch sides. If it's a little bit too much to get that hand to the floor and you do have a block or a book or something, you can place that hand on the block and then reach up and over. And come back towards center. Lift, tuck the toes, lift back knee off the floor, and then step forward and come into Ragdoll. Another great release for the head and neck. So optional here, hand position. I love this one. Take your hands and interlace your fingers at the back of your neck. Your palms are gonna press toward your ears, and then just let the whole weight of your arms dangle and start to feel that release as the head comes toward the floor. And you can wobble the head around if you want with your hands, or you can just hang. And release. All right, so heel toe your feet together. Keep a little bit of space between your heels. And then round your way up to standing, nice and slow. And come to mountain pose. So mountain pose is another great pose to really check in on our posture. Okay, so we were just sitting down, imagining that we were sitting at a desk. Maybe you are sitting at a desk. Sometimes, again, when we're walking around or standing around, have a tendency to slouch or start to roll the shoulders forward. So you can just remind yourself, like, oh, mountain pose, just think mountain pose, and then roll the shoulders back, down, and away from the ears. See that difference? Oh, it feels so good. Expand through the chest. Reach those fingers down. Lift the chin away from the chest. Really feel your feet on the floor. Spread your toes nice and wide, and just settle in here in this pose, mountain pose. And then on the next inhale, we'll come to tall mountain. Reach those arms up. We're going to take another chest expansion. So hands behind the back, interlace the fingers, and then just roll it open. Press the fists down toward the floor. Lift the chin off of the chest, and then hinge at the hips. Come forward. This time we're working toward straight legs, in that direction of straight legs, so you're gonna get this hamstring stretch as well. Hands coming up and over the back of the head. And just begin to press the palms of your hands towards one another. So just increase your stretch. And release the hands down to the mat. Come up to monkey pose. So another long spine, reaching through the crown of the head, flat back, shoulders away from the ears. If you need to, you can place your hands on a block or your shins. Just feel that nice extension through the back of the neck. And then come back, forward fold. Step all the way back to downward facing dog. Nice long stance, take another breath. Let that head be heavy again. Feel the extension in the back of the neck. And then let's take this stretch on the other side. So left leg lifts and place that left foot between your hands. Release the back knee onto the floor and place the top of the foot flat to the floor. Come into crescent moon pose, reaching the arms up overhead. Find arrow mudra. Release the fingers, release the index fingers, and then squeeze the biceps toward the ear. And same thing on this side. If this hip is really, really tight and we need to back off, you can bring that hip all the way back up over the knee and then just slowly start to sink into the stretch. Okay, it's just going to depend on the tightness on this side in your body. So wherever you are, just make sure that you're feeling a bit of a stretch, but no pain. Just sensation. And then let's take it into a side bend. So take your right hand, place it on the floor or a block, and then just sweep that left arm up and over, looking up. If it's too much on your neck to look up, just go ahead and look down. And then to the other side. Left hand to the floor or a block. I'm gonna place mine on a block. Maybe you have a book nearby. Put your right arm up and over, looking up. And if it feels like tension on the neck, look down. Breathe into your right side. And release. All right, lift that back knee off the floor and step back to downward facing dog. Okay, we're gonna take one more fabulous deep stretch for the hips. So look forward, and then you can step or hop or however you want to get your feet to the outside of your hands and lower your hips to the floor. This is Malasana, garland pose. So press the elbows to the knees and bring the palms of the hands together and bring the hands to the heart. And once again, really focus on getting the head in line with the spine. So try to avoid jutting your head out or rounding your shoulders forward. Okay, so really getting that alignment. And this is a fabulous, fabulous stretch for the hips. If you could do this every single day, you'll keep your hips a lot looser and happier when you're sitting at your desk. To the best of your ability, take 5 more breaths in this pose. All right, and to release, we're just gonna come into a wide-legged forward fold. So plant your hands on the floor, straighten up those legs, and just give it a little bit of a sway side to side. Okay, we're gonna do one more standing pose, so come to a stand. Now, if you are at work and are not too self-conscious, this is a great one you can practice at work. If you have a chair nearby, so I'm just gonna pull in a chair here for a second to show you how to do this great stretch. If you don't have a chair nearby, we're gonna do this on a wall, okay? It's basically a reverse L handstand. So we sometimes practice this in preparation for L handstand, but we're not doing L handstand. It's just a great shoulder stretch. So walk your feet so they're underneath your hips and you're quite a distance away from your chair or the wall. If you're going to a wall, you're just gonna place your hands straight out in front of you and just rock your weight forward until you hit the wall. Otherwise, you're gonna place your hands on a chair right out in front of you. You want your hands at about shoulder distance apart, so make that adjustment. And then you're gonna start to rock your weight back so your hips come right over your heels, your head stays in line with your spine, and you're looking straight down at the floor. This will be the same if you're at a wall. So imagine this is a wall, your hands are pressed against a wall. Now you're gonna make any adjustments you need to make so that the hips are underneath over the ankles and that your wrists are in line with your shoulders. Okay, if that means going higher or lower on your chair. My chair happens just coincidentally to be the perfect height for me. Just continue to hold it. Since I do have pretty tight shoulders, this is a great stretch and I can really, really, really feel it. So maybe someday when you're at work, you just stand up, get behind your chair and do this stretch. And again, the longer you hold it for, continuing to work with your breath, deep inhales and exhales, of course, the more flexibility you'll gain. So hold it as long as you can. We're gonna come out of it now though, for the sake of this class, but feel free anytime you take that stretch to hold it as long as you possibly can and see if you can gain a little bit of flexibility and openness in the shoulders. One more stretch you can do at work if you're not too self-conscious with your chair. So go ahead and come a little bit closer to the chair. Just place your hand on the chair, bend that left leg, take your right hand to the inside of your left foot, bring your knees together, square your shoulders and your hips toward your chair, and then you can just stay here if this feels like a great stretch, or you can just kick it away. So the kick is gonna start to open through your shoulder and chest. And then of course you're gonna get a little hip flexor stretch here as well. And then let's switch it out. So just take your right hand onto your chair, bend your right leg, take your foot with your left hand, square off your shoulders and your hips. Okay, so if you're leaning off to the side, see if you can look directly at your chair. And then option here to kick. So the kick is gonna, again, help open you through your chest and your shoulder. Gonna open this right hip flexor up. Okay, and release. All right, so let's come back down onto our mat into a seated position. We're gonna take cow face pose, which is another great shoulder and hip opener, all at the same time. So if you have a strap, need a strap, grab your strap. You do not have to have it though, it's optional. Bring your left leg or left knee and bring it to center of your mat, and then you're gonna bring your right knee and stack it on top of your left knee. Again, if you have a block or a book or something and your hips are tight, feel free to sit up on a block. This is a pretty intense hip stretch for most people, so don't be discouraged if your knees aren't touching or if your feet aren't in perfect position. Just working in that direction. To the best of your ability, however, try to get both sitting bones grounded on the floor. So if you are leaning off to one side, then just kind of back off the stretch so you can get grounded onto the floor. All right. For the arms, you're gonna take that left arm up and over and that right arm behind, and you're gonna clasp the hands behind. Okay, head is in line with the spine. Do not take the clasp if you're sacrificing your alignment. Okay, this is not what we want. We want this. And if you cannot take the clasp and have this alignment, take your right hand on top of your left elbow. Other option, if you do have a strap and want to use it, you just hold on to the strap with your left hand reach around with your right hand, you can start walking your hands up the strap. Okay, all of these are great options. The one thing that's not a great option is slouching, rounding, hunching. Hold it for another breath and release, and we'll take it on the other side. So we're going to bring the right leg on bottom now, the left leg on top. Same things I said on the other side apply here. Ground through the sitting bones. If you need to sit on a block, feel free. And then we're going to take the right arm up and over, left arm behind for the clasp. This side might feel different than the other side. Same rules apply. Please focus on the alignment of the spine, not the clasp. Okay? So if you need to back off the clasp to sit up nice and tall, please do so. And breathe. Very good. Release. I think we should be close to even on both sides now. You can take your legs and come back into easy pose. And then we're just going to take the hands, interlace the fingers. This is great for your wrists. If you're a typer, you just take a couple circles. You can always do this again at your desk. Just take a little break and then just roll out the wrists. You can press them back. Really good to give your hands and your wrists that break during the day. All right, now, most important part of yoga is Shavasana, and I dare you to do this pose at work. Just move your chair aside, lay down flat on your back, hope you don't get fired. So hopefully you're at home after work doing this class and you can enjoy a wonderful Shavasana. Just lay yourself back down on your back, extend your legs long, let your feet fall open, let your arms relax by the side, palms face up, fingers are nice and loose, toes are nice and loose. Get yourself comfortable, so move around, and then once you're comfortable, see if you can find some stillness. Close your eyes, relax your jaw, relax your forehead. If this is the one pose you can do during the day, take it. Just feel your body on the ground. Slow yourself down. Breathe deeply. And just find a moment of calm, centeredness, stillness. I encourage you to stay in Shavasana as long as you have time for. When you release from Shavasana, please do so slowly, making your way all the way up to a seat. Thank you so much for joining me today. And as you go forward, may you have peace in your thoughts, and peace in your words, peace in your heart. Namaste.